call this meeting to order. And, can you all stand for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. See, if you all have been given the minutes from the previous meeting without any additions, corrections, how they were presented to you. Can I get a motion, please, to accept? So moved. Motion by Dan, second by Rick. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we have some recognitions that we're going to do tonight. Lori, you want to?
The first person I'd like to recognize is a former employee here. Her name is Beatrice Morrison. Beatrice passed away on October 25th, and she was 95 years old. And Miss Morrison accepted a position as a junior high school English teacher at Altona Central School, and then later served as a librarian. And while Altona Central School merged as NAC, she was the elementary school librarian and retired there on July 1st, 1989, after completing 50 years of teaching. So we do want to remember Beatrice. Also, we'd like to remember Mary Barbara Baxter Crowley Dubray. She was 84 and she passed away on October 21st. This year, and she was a member of the NAC Board of Education for more than 20 years. And she was a supporter of the sports programs of NACS for many years, and she was especially an avid basketball fan. And her family is setting up a scholarship in her name at NAC. So we'd also like to remember Mary. Our next recognition, and Joey, if you'd like to come up. We are very pleased and honored as a school district to be able to recognize Jerry Seguin. Jerry was named the 2010 New York State Art Teachers Association Educator of the Year from Region 5. Boy, you've done us proud, Jerry. Come on up.
You can.
All right. First, thank you very much for honoring me, and really, students are very honored. You ask sometimes how you ever get an award like this, and how do they know? And a couple things is our students have been involved in some major projects in the county, in the area for the last couple of years. One of them is the centennial celebration. Over 2,000 students were involved in making that mural, and I hope that some of you have got a chance to see it inside the government building. But a major part of that was built by students right here from the school, and I was lucky enough to help install it. I wanted to be the person to install our section, and we did that. Last year we got a good grant for a sculpture installation. A lot of outsiders came and saw that, and they were truly impressed with what our students were doing. So part of that, and their involvement in field trips with help of Ryan and the Arts and Ed program, helped figure things out, and of course support of Lauren and Mike is a good thing for the students that are involved with them. So in a roundabout way, this award is for you, your support for our students, and opportunities that we're doing. So
we need good guidance.
Thank you all.
So we thank you for that as well. One of the biggest things this evening is the Excel Capital Improvement Project and the presentation from CSR to update us of where we're at with the whole process. And you know, we're gonna allow this session after we're done presenting to allow questions from the audience. So please, not to wait to comment or questions you have for CSR. Just don't be afraid to ask them. Okay.
Would it be all right if we turn off the backlights and off the front lights on?
Actually, could you get the back like
Oh,
page?
there we go. Did everybody see that okay? Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Ed Anchor with CS Arch. I've met a lot of you through our travels up here the last few weeks and a few months. And I want to introduce a few people of our project team. First, we have Brian Manning. He's our project manager, our senior project principal for the project. We have Scott Wolf. He's our construction management supervisor. You're going to probably see him quite a bit up here from time to time in the coming months. And then also Tom Thatcher. You're going to see his face even more than Scott's. He's going to be our man on the scene and kind of running the day-to-day operations on our project site. What we want to do tonight is kind of go through and give a little bit of an update of where we're at with the project right now. Talk a little bit about site traffic and upgrades that we're going to do to kind of increase site safety. One of the key issues that came up during the referendum process. Then we're going to talk a little bit about preliminary sequencing and construction. A lot of questions have been asked, and we're hoping to answer some of those this evening about when are things going to start, how are things going to go, what parts of the buildings are going to be built first. We've put together some preliminary plans, and I stress preliminary. We still have a long way to go with finalizing these, but we want to make sure that the board and also the audience has a chance to kind of weigh in, see where we're at, and potentially make some changes and suggestions. We're going to talk a little bit about where we stand with our estimate and kind of give you an update of where the project schedule stands on a whole. And then we're going to talk about moving forward, the next steps. We'll have a chance for questions and we'll give you feedback after that. So first we'll start and talk a little bit about site upgrades that we're going to be doing on site to increase student safety and also to increase vehicular traffic safety on site. I included an aerial photo here. I know the board has seen most of this before, some of our audience members may not have. But I'll just point out a few things on this slide so that everybody can be oriented. Very recognizable elementary school building right off of Route 11. This is the bus garage. Right in the back is the addition that was built in 1952 off the elementary school. Right here in the middle, pardon my pointing, we don't have a laser pointer tonight. Right here is the existing and original maintenance garage, bus garage maintenance garage. And then way in the back here is the middle high school, and then the athletic fields off the back. This was taken last, I believe February, so you can see there's quite a bit of snow on the ground. So, that said, we've been working with the school district and the meeting with the board and with Laura and her staff to come up with a way to increase the amount of safety that's afforded to students and also vehicles on site to kind of get things moving in the right direction when people enter the site, realizing that we have kind of a tricky intersection at Route 11 here and Military Turnpike, and try and route car traffic and bus traffic separately, realizing that we have some constraints on site that we have to deal with. So there's three main points in vehicular traffic on this site. We have car traffic, we have bus traffic, and then we have mixed traffic, areas where the two are going to be interacting. Now I'll start by saying what we've tried to do is keep the bus traffic and car traffic as separate as possible, given the site constraints that we have, to keep buses and cars from backing into each other or having cross paths too often during the site. So we essentially have three main traffic flows. We have elementary school drop-off flows, we have middle school drop-off flow, middle school, high school drop-off flows, and then we have bus traffic flows. So I'll start by talking a little bit about the bus traffic flow. When buses enter the site in the morning with their loads of students after they've gone and done their rounds, we're going to be entering on at the Route 11 site, or Route 11 entry right here. We've basically broken down that into three separate areas. So we have an entry, we have a straight and left turn lane, and then we have a right turn lane. So that is really clearly defined with striping and arrows coming in and out of the site. So a bus enters the site. The buses travel on the yellow path. You can see the yellow arrows here. They go through the site. We drop off at the middle school, high school first, and then we loop around, and then we cross we stay on the side of the yellow line right here, which currently there isn't one, and then we loop around and they drop off at the elementary school, basically in the same location. But what we've done is allowed the buses to have a path of travel that's not intersecting with cars when they're dropping off children. So the second path of travel is going to be we'll call this middle school parents or high school parents dropping off students, and also student parking. So again, we enter at the same point off of Route 11. We travel in the same path, but instead of diverging towards the bus route, we travel along and away from the backs of where the buses are driving. We pull across, and then parents and or students are going to pull in here where the student parking is now. It stays basically in the same place. Parents can drop off. We've created 3 separate lanes here, so that there'll be 2 driving lanes separated by a yellow line, and then an actual lane for drop off that's separate from the passing lane. So you can actually pull off the side, drop off students, and then path of travel transfers back out on the site on this green path, and then out on the Route 11. The third path of travel is elementary school drop off. So again, right now we've got parents coming in and students coming in, and everybody's driving right across this where this median is right here. But we separated that out. So now when we drop off at the elementary school, again, all the car traffic comes in this direction. We pass through the 2-way traffic separated by a yellow line into the elementary school parking lot. Again, a driving lane and a drop-off lane. We circulate around and then back out and out the same lane, along with the cars. So we've taken some steps to kind of isolate the buses, isolate the students, so that there's not a lot of back and forth there. We've eliminated, right now there stands 2 entries. We've got an entry, basically right about where the stop sign is here, and then we've got another entry right at the back of or right at the front of where the buses are. We've eliminated that front entry, and what we've done is we've created a clear and concise path for students and staff to be able to transfer from the elementary school to the middle school, high school, without having to walk through the middle of the parking lot. So there's a clear, concise path that goes from one building to the other, separated by crosswalks, stop signs, crossing signs, so that there's not only paving cues, but there's also visual cues in terms of signage on the site.
The drop-off lane for the middle school, high school, is that where, can you just point that out where that's located? Are they
This
going to be
blue line
crossing?
right here.
So will they be crossing the other traffic to get to the high school? If you're dropping them off?
Now who's dropping off who?
I want to drop off someone at the middle school, high school.
Uh-huh.
So there's going to be a drop-off lane, you said?
Yep, so you're going to pull through here.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pull around so that the passenger is on the left-hand side of the vehicle.
Excellent.
Okay? And
Yeah.
then they drop off at the crosswalk, and then they can cross through the parking lot to the main entry.
Good, okay.
All right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. We can come back to this, but I'll kind of move through the rest of this. That's one piece that we wanted to kind of bring up.
Now,
And
Ed,
again,
you want to mention there's going to be that barrier in the middle.
as far as here, Laura?
No, that, the gate.
Oh, this area, right
Yes.
here. Yeah, okay, good point. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, I think that's important to note, so it's not going to be a wide open expanse where.
Everybody knows right now that when you enter the site, there's that expanse of asphalt right in the
Yeah.
middle of everybody's path to travel. And you don't really know where to go. There's no striping, there's no lines, there's no visual cues as to how to move through that site. So what we've done through some striping, but also some hard paving, some concrete, some curbs, is create a median along the back sides of those buses so that this area is only bus traffic during when the arrival and dismissals are happening. So we're not going to have cars driving behind the back of the buses. So if kids are coming out, if they come out from behind the buses, which normally is going to happen, but in the event that there's a clear path that cars are going away from that area, so that the child safety is really paramount in this area, and then also in this area. During the arrival and dismissal times, nobody except the buses will be allowed in this area and in this area. And I have to stress that, we've reworked the parking and the movement around on the site, and it's going to take some time to get used to it. Everybody's used to just coming on site and taking their own path during the day. There'll be some period of time where we're going to have some people out there directing traffic, so that once they get used to it, it'll create a safe environment. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to it. Okay. Again, we can come back to this if people have more questions. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Scott Wolf. He's going to talk a little bit about our construction plans, our preliminary construction sequencing plans. And we'll start with the middle high school. Take it away.
Thank you. Good to see some of you again. As Ed said, I'm going to be frequenting the district more and more as we get further down this road. been working for the last several weeks on and off with Ed and some of our other staff to come up with some of the concepts that you'll see here. I'm gonna, for those of you who might not be able to read it, I'll run through these bulleted items here real quick. I want to reiterate what Ed said, that this is preliminary, and we've had some initial feedback, some initial comments from the district. The next step will be to refine that process as we go forward. Right now, people are talking in terms of what's happening in the summer of 2011, what's happening in the summer of 2012, the spring and fall and winter. So we thought we'd just break it down in those generic categories for the time being. Right now, excuse me, in the summer of 2011, what we can expect to take place is we're going to work on relocating the high school, middle school offices, the front offices. This area, pardon me, the front of the building here, the blue and the yellow. And we're going to be also simultaneously working on the nurses relocation. Excuse me. I just can't read that. Okay, something like that. Close to the screen, I'm sorry. Glasses. The guidance offices will take place simultaneously during that summer event. For people who are standing back here to read it. One of the other things that has to happen right away in order to build our new gymnasium complex, which is off the back of the building over here, is we have to relocate the existing propane tank to continue service to the building. So that's got to happen right away. It's going to swing around to the field side of the existing drive that comes to the back. We'll then move on to getting the new entrance to the main offices, which is up in the canopy area, established, because there's quite a bit of footing work and structural steel work that has to happen there. Oh, thank you very much. That's the area right out front here. We will, during construction, be maintaining a protected means of egress through the front of the building in one fashion or another. Going back to Ed's comments about student drop-off, we need to maintain circulation for students and staff to enter and exit the building throughout the day. Some folks have asked if temporary entrances are going to be built or things like that. But we're going to, we've worked with the state education department on and off for several years now, defining what criteria meets the minimum levels of safety as a benchmark. So we have those parameters established, and we're going to implement no less than those to this front area here. If we can get the respective demolition taken care of, and the in-ground work taken care of, and structural steel components taken care of, we have a new structure in place that we can safely pass beneath. So we'll have a protected means of egress through this area for when the students come back to school in September. The gymnasium addition in the back, which is the new piece, will take place between the summer of 2011 getting started, finishing up as we move forward into the summer of 2012. The excuse me. The library area down in here should receive renovations primarily during the first summer. That may extend into the fall months depending on what we have available to us for the casework. We may have to utilize some of the existing casework as a short-term solution until the permanent items are available. We don't know that for sure right now. These are the earliest concepts that we're thinking of. The renovation of the A-wing over here and the courtyard areas. Down in here, you see highlighted in yellow. Those are concrete walks exterior of the building in the courtyard area that will increase the ability to maintain those areas outside of rescue windows. Those should take place during the first summer as we move forward. Because as we build these additions over here, we're going to block ourselves off from access to the courtyard. As we move forward into the fall months, we have the existing pool area and the pool in gymnasium locker rooms. The pool, we're going to get through the summer session, and when it's deemed acceptable, we're likely to shut the pool down for a period of time so that we can renovate the mechanical systems associated with it. We're still working on when that perimeter will actually be, so it's, again, very preliminary in thought. The re-roofing, there's re-roofing of a large portion of the building that will take place during summer months. That'll accommodate both replacement and mechanical and electrical penetrations that'll have to take place in the roof area. The renovation of the main offices in this area here continue until we have them finished up and we can get those folks back in. That work right there will not take place simply in the summer months. That will extend on, and then we'll move those folks back into their completed spaces. Right now, we're targeting that should be a springtime transition, whether it be spring break or somewhere as close to that is yet to be determined.
Scott, could you touch on for a minute where
Yes.
the offices will be going temporarily while we're doing
Right now, it's proposed that we have the offices right outside the building, near that temporary protected access point. We're working on that with the district still right now, as far as who's actually going to be in those locations versus some other places maybe selected inside the building. I've said this in other districts before, that using the lead by the example piece, it's fabulous when the office folks or the administration put up in temporary quarters, because then they're, you get through the thick of it when you have staff saying, well, you know, where's the administration people, where's the front office people? Through our course of renovation, anybody who's lived through a renovation of their own home can understand how trying that is. But we have to maintain continual business for the building, security for the building, and be able to address any actions within the building in an appropriate fashion. So we're proposing this green space outside the building right here. Looking further into the spring of 2012, we are looking at completing renovation of the locker rooms over in here, attached to the pool area. The summer of 2012, we should be picking up the balance of the work areas in the building. And that will include completion of the new gymnasium, minor modifications to the existing auditorium, completion of the new main plaza outside the new front entry, and the associated renovations of the cafeteria area. The other classrooms down here in this part of the building and over in here received some very light superficial renovations, some finishes. There are some mechanical renovations that take place building-wide. It will, in concert, affect all parts of the building sequentially with those renovation areas.
So will the gym
Yes.
and locker rooms be out of use from the summer of 2011 for the entire year? Is that what you're saying?
The gym and locker rooms?
The locker
The locker rooms right here.
Yeah.
Okay. We are working on that piece still. We're trying to sift that out. We need to work on it in concert with the pool renovation so that we maximize the downtime of the pool. And on the flip side of that is the availability of product. For example, lockers themselves. They're a very long lead item. We need to make sure that we time it in such a way that we don't have to be waiting for the material. So that's loosely defined at this point. We have every intention of coming back.
It just sounded like it would be out of use for a year, is what it sounded.
No, it won't be out of use for a whole year. No, we're not going to, we don't have the luxury of being able to do that. We don't have that many other areas in the building. As I was saying, the mechanical systems, we are designing and building a new heating plant in the rear of the building, which will come online and service the building from the field side of the building. There is duct work, HVAC renovation work that will take place throughout the rest of the building. You see the mauve-colored corridor ceilings there. We're going to be removing all of those ceiling areas in order to perform the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure work. They're usually the first thing to come out and the last thing to go back. Your corridors tend to be the arteries of the building. So until the last piece of pipe and the last piece of wire is run, they tend to be unsightly but safe. Mr. Thatcher here has worked for the last 2 years in 2 buildings that have been involved in additions and renovations. So he'll tell you how that system works positively for us, and the fact that if we are able to close up outer areas of the building, then those ceilings will come online. Then when we have our additions built over here, then those corridor ceilings will start to come back online. And as you work towards the core of the building and all the infrastructure is in place, then things get buttoned up in a sequential manner. Leaving something out. Oh, the toilet rooms. Again, the toilet rooms right here in the middle of the building. That is scheduled to take place this summer of 2012 because of lead time on fixtures and the ability to possibly use the existing space as it's currently configured as short-term space for somebody else's swimming space. I know I've covered a lot in a very short period of time. I'm hoping this answers some of the questions relative to the high school, middle school. Did anybody have any questions on that before I move forward?
Just a question, actually, I got all the water for your dry throat.
Oh, gosh, thank you very much.
I do have a question. How are we going to take care of the security fencing? Is that going to be done in stages too, so we can protect not what's inside that we're working on, but also protect people from the outside getting into those protected areas? So
Yeah.
the perimeter security fencing, is that staged at different time intervals, or are you just going to encompass the whole thing? And
It's both, to answer your question. We have not done the site logistics portion of this yet. We're still struggling a little bit with the sequence of how this building work will occur around the back side. In that, there's been some talk about coming around this side, which most of you know is a very soft, wet area, but we're not sure how we can achieve that in a cost-effective manner. If we come around the driveway side of the building, perform all that work in the back, we'd have a logistical nightmare with bringing trucks and equipment and traffic through the middle of the parking areas, which we're trying to avoid. We will contain, for example, this side of the building in its own fenced-in area. We'll include some laydown area to perform that work. This will be isolated from the building. As we build out the new addition, we will have to maintain egress from the existing endpoints of the building. Likewise, on the rear of the building, we will have this area contained with its own work area. So it will probably be two and probably three major fenced areas of this building, as opposed to one large secure area coming around the whole building at one time. Forgive me if I didn't answer your
what you did,
question.
actually, you did a good job. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
How about material staging areas? Are those going to be also protected by fences?
Right now, for the new building additions, we're primarily concentrating on this triangular area, as you saw in the circulation plan.
Okay.
Over in this quadrant,
Okay.
there's a potential. I will say that the site is tight with how we're going to get a lot of truck traffic and material deliveries in and out of here. Something we're struggling with, but we're looking at all possibilities right now.
The other issue that is a concern to us is that making sure that the site is secure and it's safe. But not only safe for our students and the people that are employed in that area, but also safe as well for the contractors going to be working there. We didn't want any injuries on this project, so we just want to make sure that all necessary questions have been raised about the overall safety of the work zone too.
I appreciate that. I can't say that I'm only even familiar with one injury over the 10 years I've been working with CSR that's occurred, and it was on a project that I wasn't directly affiliated with, but I'm aware of it. And not that injury is commonplace, but we certainly strive for safety. Let me segue for just a moment on that. One of our prerequisites when we run the projects are staying on top of safety. We require the contractors times to hold their weekly toolbox safety meetings. We either attend them and/or collect those written reports that are due. Okay, on a weekly basis. This is something that Tom takes care of all the time. We have purse strings attached to it to make sure that it's carried out. So if we're not running around chasing people, the dollar will speak for itself too. There's some other prerequisites that the prime contractor is responsible for with regards to record keeping and housekeeping as well. So I think we go above and beyond what some would consider the normal course of awareness of safety to make sure that it's being maintained.
John,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned, I think, I misunderstood you, roof work the first year?
On this building,
Yes,
pardon me,
or not?
it's likely to take place in both years, honestly,
Okay,
because of where it's occurring.
okay.
The,
My concern is, I understand that the rooftop units are going to be coming out. Is that correct?
Correct.
yeah, there are, yes, the existing ones.
So,
Yep.
so, you know, it would make sense to do roof around them and then take them out.
You're correct in your thinking, in your logic. However, this is an EPDM. So with an EPDM roof system, you can add or remove, splice into that roof anywhere we would like to without affecting the warranty. So if there's something that doesn't make sense, we'll certainly keep that in the logic stream. But it doesn't preclude us from doing it that way. If we have to still maintain serviceable area of the building, let's say we were re-roofing this area of the building, but before we were able to replace a unit that served that area until the new system is online, we would have to consider that.
It's more first impressions. This is part of my day job involves me working in various districts around North County. Part of that, witnessing their building projects. And one thing that I often see is, for whatever reason or another, the roof isn't done, but the ceiling tiles are going back up. So when people walk through the building, often, and as a private citizen, well, we just spent X millions of dollars on this project to put a new roof on, and they might not know that, well, the roof isn't put on, but at least all the tile or the board ceiling tile in. So is there any way they can make it so that even if things get kind of backlogged, if the roof's not ready, the lower ceiling tiles don't go on?
Great question. Let me explain to you how we approach things to combat that issue. We actually have a Gantt chart schedule that will go along with these types of sequencing drawings in our project management, in our bid documents. Those will have line items that specifically call out for ceiling grid, for example, to be installed, because you need to have that there in order to lay your lights in diffusers, for example. It'll have a separate line item to allow for field tile to be installed. That field tile will have to be able to be installed throughout until we acknowledge it as a design team. Okay? And that the sequence allows for it. Now I'll go on to say that there is nothing wrong with, as you've probably seen, opening a building for occupancy without ceiling tile in place. It's unsightly. It's a nuisance. Sure. More of a nuisance is that new stained ceiling tile you see that you just pay for, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
We go through every precaution with regards to the students and staff. Make sure it's safe, number one. Number two, then we want to make sure that we are maximizing efficiencies with the construction process. And with us being here full-time, watching all that, we minimize that. Nobody's perfect. I'm sure something's gotten installed before it should have that. But with people on the ground, boots on the ground here full-time, we get to combat that very easily. Did I answer your question? Yes. Thank you. Certainly. Anything else before I move on to the other
I
building?
have a question, I kind of forgot. Is the propane tank coming back? Is that how our heating system is going to be working again?
The propane tank going from here over to approximately here for continued construction is temporary. Okay. Because the existing heating equipment requires it. The new heating equipment will be fired by oil, fuel oil. So that's our first immediate move. Make sure that happens.
I think that's one thing that we've always looked at through the start of this whole project, are those propane tanks. I mean, for the most part, they've been pretty safe, but I can tell you that we had two of those larger that we have here in school at the Georgia Pacific, and we were so concerned with how volatile they are. If something happens, I mean, that would remove an entire block in plaster. So we thought that it was time to remove those missiles.
Okay. Moving on to the elementary school. And I'm forgetting, I got a little long-winded there. Fine. One of the earliest things we're going to do in the elementary school is work on what will be the new front office area. The part of the work there involves re-energizing the utilization of the secured front entrance. It also allows for the installation of a prescribed handicap accessible ramp up front. During the first summer, we'll be heavily renovating these two front areas as well as that's the east side, right? The east side rooms, and getting those folks into their permanent spaces at the end of that first summer, or September when everybody returns. Simultaneous to that, we're going to be putting these two additions. This is actually a slight demolition and then the new build for these two areas. It becomes the new music classroom here and the new district offices here. Those will take place, we're coming out of the ground, meaning footings, foundation, excavation, getting up to above grade before everybody goes back in September. The construction here will continue into the fall, winter months with right now a proposed occupancy in the springtime. Again, loosely defined, is a preliminary in nature. Oh, I'm sorry, forgot about the one existing classroom, which is currently the business office. There's right. Team and staff are going to move to temporary digs while we renovate that into a classroom, back into a classroom. Excuse me. Let's see, where do I want to go next? The springtime, as I had mentioned, we'll find themselves with the occupancy of both music and the district offices from the temporary locations. Moving forward into the, let me back up, forgive me. The re-roofing. This building here will receive re-roofing during the first summer. Okay. We're going to then renovate those rooms second summer, to your point. We do have some re-roofing prescribed of some of the oldest parts of the roof of the building in here. It would also take place during the second summer. As mentioned just a moment ago, these classrooms right here are pretty much a total gut renovation. They receive new windows on the perimeter, new ceilings, floors, cabinetry, finishes, casework. There are also some minor partition changes happening in here to bisect that existing space. The gymnasium wall padding shows here as something that would happen in 2012. We are going to try to bring that forward into the earliest parts of the project. This has been brought to our attention that that's a heightened level of concern for the district. We want to try to accommodate that. We have a couple different ways we can approach that, so we can discuss as we get further down the line. And the renovation of the kitchen cafeteria is where we currently are, is scheduled for the summer of 2012.
Can you go into the specifics of those, of what's going to happen in the cafeteria?
On the scope itself?
If
As
that's
far as the
something-
changes?
Yeah, as far as what's planned.
Okay, I'd actually like Ed to speak to that if you
If
don't
now's
mind.
not the right time, that's okay.
No, that's okay, we can talk a little bit about it. Basically, you're gonna have the kitchen's gonna be moving from where it currently is, right behind us here, to this end of the building, so that we can access it directly off the loading dock, straight shot all the way through. We're gonna have a new dishwasher in there. The serving line's gonna be reconfigured from the hallway so that students can enter in one door, transfer through the serving line, and then enter into the cafeteria in the space here rather than in the hallways and the corridor. We're maintaining approximately the same square footage, actually a little bit more square footage in the cafeteria, but it's going to be one large room. The kitchen actually expands a little bit. We're going to be able to fit some of the new equipment and the the oven, a new oven that's going to be putting in there, and then a new firewall between the loading dock area and the kitchen and the core room. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
More specifically, you're looking for,
By new oven, are meals going to be prepared here in this building rather than being brought over from
the
high
plan is,
school?
Lisa, that's the plan. We're going to be prepping some things over at the high school. They're going to be brought over here, heated, cooked, and then served directly here on the premises. So they're not heated over there, cooked over there, and then brought over here in Cambros. There will be a certain amount of things that will be brought over in Cambros, as I understand it, Lisa. But a lot of the cooking, a lot more of the cooking can be accomplished in this building now with the inclusion of an oven here.
Okay. Is anything going to be put into consideration for sound
It's
noise
loud.
level?
Yeah, we're going to be putting new ceiling tiles in the entire space, which is going to help with the sound attenuation. We're using a higher STC sound transmission class ceiling tile in the actual space. I mean, we're kind of relegated by some of the things that happen on the corridor and these walls. We're not changing any of the historic fabric of the outside edges of these walls. You can see the light through there. It's a big, huge sound transmission. We'll be able to close off some of those diffusers and help mitigate it. I'm not going to say that there's still going to be some sound making its way to the hallways. When you get that many kids in one spot at one time, it's going to be a little bit louder, but there are going to be some things we're going to do to try and mitigate that. Okay, great.
Does anybody else have any other questions? One of this building project, I always beat a dead horse for this, I know we've talked about it before, but it's that important, so every time we are gonna have discussion, I will bring it up, and just have to beat me down to why. Is that, to me, and a lot of people in the district, there are very few buildings in the North Country from the Public Works era that look as good as ours, and it's of vital importance to me that when this project is done, that even though it might be a 21st century renovation, that in a previous building project we did in 2000, those renovations look like, oh, well, they must have put it in 1939. That's my expectation, that any changes to the building, at least the public works section of it maintains that. Yes.
I appreciate you bringing that up because it's very important to us as well. This is one of the nicest WPA era buildings that we've had the opportunity to work on at CSR for some time. The buildings are very well maintained. They're in great shape for the most part, the corridors and all this wonderful wood, and we have gone to great lengths to maintain and conserve that at every turn, and actually enhance that in some locations. For instance, in the main office where there should be certain partitions and things like that that there aren't right now, we can kind of dress it up even better than it is in some locations. But we've made a strong point to not have to add any new openings in existing corridor walls. The existing doors and the existing sideways and transoms and woodwork, we're maintaining all of that.
I have a question.
Sure.
The secure entrance for visitors coming in and out of the building, is that remaining down where it is now?
We're gonna, the whole idea with, right now, the main office is the main office. And one of the biggest problems that we found when we first started in the district is that we have to come in that rear entry, get checked in, but then you're wandering through the building until you get to the main office. This building was built and designed in 1938, and the front entry was designed to be the front entry with the offices on either side of it. And we're reestablishing that as the main entry. The nice thing about that is it's already established as a secure entry point because there's a vestibule there that's very sizable. So we're able to control the access and the influx into the building directly through the office. This is actually the one new door that we're adding in the building, and it's going to be from the vestibule directly into the main reception area of the main office, so that everybody who comes in this building during the day has to go into the main office, get checked in, and then whoever they're either doing business with or meeting with has to actually come down here and gather up their person, whoever that may be, a person or people or child, and then bring them to either special ed or parent and counseling resource center or the nurse's office for that matter. But everybody's checking in at the secure main entry at the front of the building. And that's something that we heard loud and clear and is very important.
Which I really like that the entrance is going to be the entrance.
We need
However,
to
the parking is still going to be at the back.
Well, I
Is
have
that
to go
true?
back. Yeah, one of the things that we've done kind of flip back here to our parking plan. During the day, once the buses have been basically parked at the front of the elementary school, we are going to allow, after all that traffic is done, a small amount of visitor parking directly accessed from the sidewalk that leads to the main entry. Now you won't be able to park there during the mornings when in the afternoons when we're pick up and drop off. But during the day when things are quieter on the site, those are open for visitor parking, so people have a place to park for a temporary period of time.
So if you have a parent, I'm sorry, I don't
No,
keep
it's
questioning, but if you have a parent that continually picks up their child at dismissal every day,
Arrival and dismissal is a different story, because
Okay.
arrival and dismissal is still going to happen primarily on the back of the building.
so
Okay.
does that parent have to walk up the same sidewalk that the children are walking out of at dismissal? Is
No.
my concern is that we're gonna have adults mixed in with kids, and how is that all gonna be?
Parents, I mean, during the day, most major arrival and dismissals happen at this location and happen at that rear entry location. Kids are coming in primarily in the back of the building. I understand there's a small amount of kids that come in the front of the building, but the majority is happening here and then into the building. That's part of the reason why we're building the new sidewalk, so that they have a clear path to get into the building. Right now, this is all paving and parking and everything else. We're taking that parking and asphalt paving out of there to be able to create a curb line entrance for kids to come in the building. Now, along with that, you see the blue line that's right here? That is going to be maintained, and the white line immediately outside of it, that's maintained as parent drop-off and pickup for arrival and dismissal times. So the buses are picking up and dropping off at this location. Parents are coming into the site, picking up and dropping off in the back parking lot along that curb line.
So they'll park there, go in, sign their child out, and come back out?
They're going to have the opportunity to do that at the rear entry.
To sign them out at the end of the day?
To sign them out at the end of the day. But only during arrival and dismissal. During the day, the only way to enter the building, if they're picking up or dropping off. Yes, if a parent's picking up a sick child in the middle of the day, they can park at the visitor parking, come in the front of the building, check in the main office, and then, go to and then be, escorted down to the nurse's suite. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Sort of. It's, again, there's gonna be some, it's gonna be a little bit different than your,
I
than
just,
what you're used to.
the main thing I was really concerned about is dismissal. You have parents that pick up kids every day, and making sure that if that's gonna be separate like that, I guess that would be fine. Or is there gonna be somebody at that door to sign the kids out?
I think a lot of these things are things that we still need to
Yeah.
really flush out.
Yep.
The big piece of that puzzle is we've made it a lot safer than it currently is in terms of arrival and dismissal, creating separate areas for cars and buses so that we're not doing this at that particular time. I mean, I've been here at 8 o'clock in the morning when there's people coming in and out of the site, and it's like,
Yep.
you come across here at like Mach 3 and wing into this parking lot, you don't know where to go, and it can get dangerous. So that's our big charge, is to fix that problem. Okay?
So we're gonna have proper signage for those spots that get open.
Pick up and drop off only between X
So
hours and X
there'll be a
hours.
time on the sign, and you can park here from
Right there.
until 2.
Yep, right on the curb.
Okay.
Lots of signage. That's one thing that we lack right now that we're gonna take to the next level. Rick?
Right now, what I'm seeing is we have no problem with somebody coming over from the high school here, because Julie's right there at the back door, or somebody's right there at the back door. What's gonna happen once we secure the building?
That's a secure rear entry right now. We're creating a new vestibule that's a little bit larger back there. The other thing that we're doing is installing card readers at those main thoroughfare doors. So there'll be the opportunity to have a staff member and who's maybe bringing a class full of kids to use the pool or come over to the high school for instruction, to have that card reader access to that back door, so they know that they can come in. And they don't necessarily have to have somebody there to let them in and to do that. But there'll be card access to that rear entry here, card access to the playground entry, so that the building can still be secure, but the kids can still use the playground along with the teachers to be back in the building. Okay. And maybe card readers, maybe key fobs, maybe some other type of electronic access control. But the nice thing about that is we can turn that on and turn that off depending on who we want to give it to from a computer. We don't need to rekey a lock. We don't need to have somebody a new set of keys. It just makes that a lot more streamlined and a lot easier and more safe. Okay.
I have another question.
Sure.
The parking lot, is that new? We don't have that right down
Which
the
one, this
bottom.
one down here?
Is
Well,
that construction and will that be temporary?
one of the things that we talked about is we're gonna have to have some laydown area for construction materials, for construction traffic, for contractors to park, and have trailers and things like that. And that's gonna take up a lot of space. Typically what we do with those areas is we have to scrape the dirt up, put down a gravel bed so that you're not driving in mud the whole time. One of the things that we're looking at and haven't, to be quite honest, there's not a ton of money in the budget to be able to do it, but what we're planning on doing is leaving potentially some of that laydown area, but making it so that it can eventually become a paved asphalt area, so that it would function as either overflow parking for students or staff in that location. Not something that's completely locked down yet, but we're definitely going to have gravel in that area for laydown areas when construction is going on. Okay? I don't want to get your hopes up too much.
No, I work here, not over there.
Just to kind of continue off on what she had brought up.
Sure.
I understand the whole curbing and the nice drop-off lines there. And I know that in many other schools, parents will kind of come in their line and wait there and the children come out to them. But in our school, we have a large population of parents who park and come into the building. So are we going to have a spot at that back entrance, which I think is what you were referring to, for
parents to
that
park
congregation, for the congregation of parents in the building waiting for their students?
At the back area here.
Yeah, they come inside and wait in that area.
We're gonna actually, the vestibule, it's not really a vestibule right now, it's a set of double doors and they come in that little area.
Yes.
We're actually creating a secured area there that's gonna be a little bit larger, so that they can come inside and wait, but yet they aren't gonna necessarily be able to have free reign in the building. Does that make sense? There'll be another set of doors on the inside. So, yeah, they can come in out of the elements, wait for their kid, but they're not wandering.
So then our students, as we dismiss as teachers, are still going to be walking through that vestibule with those parents congregating there
At that area?
to get out to the buses.
Well, I mean, there's gonna be some traffic flow there, for sure. I mean, you're gonna have people waiting in that area, you're gonna have kids going through that area. I mean, you guys are going out to the buses and you're coming out the back door, correct? Out the rear?
Yes, that's the door.
Yeah, I
Some
mean-
go out that door and some go out the door by the.
It'll be a
current
set of
buses.
doors, there'll be two sets of doors, they'll be side by side. That vestibule area actually has, you know where the desk is set up right now? That whole area right there is actually gonna be secure area, but it's out of the path of travel. So there'll be some opportunities for parents that, get out of the way, go to that one side of doors, and you'll still have another set of doors to be able to get kids in and out of there without having a big traffic pattern gaggle at that location. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, there's gonna be some things to work out through that, but we're trying to accommodate all these things at the same time. And arrival and dismissal is gonna be crazy no matter what you do with it. The biggest thing that we're trying to accomplish is make it safe, so if there's not cars, buses, and vehicles going all over the place.
On that note, why are you separating the junior, senior drivers coming in from the ones going to the elementary school, then having them cross paths? Why can't they all follow that junior, senior route and turn right if you're going to the elementary and go straight, rather than have them separate and have to cross?
Yeah, I mean,
That
what
makes-
you're saying is, if I'm dropping off at the elementary school, I come in here, I drive across the front of the bus garage, and then into the,
Right.
it's a little more, circuitous route, when you gotta kind of turn around a lot. This is a little more direct, it's 2 turns, this is 3 or 4.
Yeah, but you got people crossing traffic. The fewer times you have people that have to
Sure, without crossing traffic.
cross paths, the better off you are. I just think that's an unnecessary extra route.
One of the things that we need to also be mindful of is that this is the maintenance garage. Now, during arrival and dismissal, there's not going to be tractors pulling out of that area, but we want to make sure that we're not blocking access to those functions as well. And I think by separating those 2 pieces of traffic, I mean, it may work better to have them all go that one way. Again, we're not going to know that specifically until that happens, but we have the option to do it either way, I guess, is something to be mindful of.
That's a seriously blind corner when you're coming.
Right here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on the other side of the bus garage.
Right there?
It's like,
or-
right there when you're trying to cross into that.
Yep, that's why we put a stop sign right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
got-
seriously blind.
Yeah.
You got some 17-year-old rushing to class coming in. I wouldn't want to be crossing.
They do.
Yeah, no, you're gonna always have student driver issues. I mean, by adding some signage to the site at strategic locations, we're hoping to mediate that as much as we can.
I had a question about the roof in the, you call it the addition, we call it the wing.
Sure, yeah, lower wing.
When you're doing that, have they considered changing the ventilation in that part of the roof, Because I know right now when the wind blows, it sounds like a train is coming through our classrooms.
As far as ventilation, when
There's big
specifically-
vents in our classrooms, up above, there's lockers, and then there's that area, and there's big vents. And truly, when the wind blows, like it always does in Ellenburg, it sounds
flagpoles do
like
this.
it does, and it sounds like a train coming through our classrooms. It's, when we have those really windy days. Is that something that's been taken into?
Well, a lot of that original, a lot of the ductwork that's in there, that was original to the building, a lot of that's been abandoned.
Yes, I don't think, nothing comes out of that. I don't think there's any heat.
Yeah, no, there isn't, and it doesn't ventilate any air.
Just smells from the other rooms if they pop popcorn.
The majority of the ventilation happens at your unit ventilators along the outside wall. Now, quite honestly, to be fair, this is the first time I've heard it sounds like a freight train when the wind blows.
You have to be in those rooms when it happens.
Exactly. That's certainly something we can take a look at. We are putting new ventilation systems, the new district office addition, which is happening here, and also the music suite that's happening in the middle of the building there. Those all have new mechanical systems. The existing unit ventilators, we're pulling those out of the wall, and then we're going to insulate the cavity behind them, and then reinstall those. And then also you're getting new windows around that perimeter, the exterior perimeter. As far as the ductwork goes, I don't know exactly what's causing it, to be honest. I'm not sure where it's coming in, which is, it's howling across something.
It is, and I believe it's even worse. I mean, I'm on the inside, I'm on the playground side, but I believe it's even worse on the parking lot side of those classrooms.
Okay. Well, it's prevailing wind, I can understand what.
Yeah.
Will you be able to research that? more?
We're gonna do that, yeah, I don't think, Jim, I'll talk with Jim a little bit later,
Okay.
and kind of try and pinpoint what's causing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because, you're absolutely right, those soffits that are above your lockers there and
Yes.
all the rooms.
That's exactly where it comes
Yeah,
from.
those don't really do anything. When they redid the ventilation system and put the unit ventilators in, that's really what's doing your air changes now. So, I'm not sure, we'll have to take a look at it for sure.
So when you do a
Thank you for bringing
complete,
it up.
when you do the complete gut, is that going to be gutted or are those staying there?
The soffits stay. I mean, we're not changing, because that basically creates the locker, the cubby area that's underneath those soffits. We're going to be replacing the ceilings in that whole area, in the classroom spaces, and then in the soffit area. There's going to be lighting up underneath there, because we know a lot of those fixtures don't work, or they haven't had bulbs in it for God knows how long, right? But yeah, those soffits are going to stay in place though. Okay.
It's funny you bring that up. Tom just experienced this in the building we've just been working in, the high school, which is 1927, 28 vintage, similar configuration. But it's interesting to hear that you say that down in this wing of the building, which is built in 52. A little different configuration, and so I think you got the curiosity in us.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what's causing it, but obviously there's air going across something that it shouldn't be, so.
I've been in that room a long time. It's done it a long time.
Okay. Well, thanks for bringing it up. Definitely take a look at it.
I am.
Parking lot side of that, when the wind blows, we don't get the noise, but it sucks the ceiling tiles up out of their frames.
So now, on this parking lot, when the wind blows, a lot of that has to do with obviously negative air pressure. The windows aren't sealed very well, the doors aren't sealed very well, and when you get a high wind, you hear that. And then, sucks the ceiling tiles up. When somebody opens up the door real quick, it's the same thing. Yeah, but when we replace the ceiling tiles with the windows, hopefully that'll eliminate a lot of it.
That was insightful.
We have top plastic equipment.
Great.
Do you have to bungee the small kids to it?
Right?
It's very good dialogue, and we appreciate the feedback. Does anybody have any further questions on this piece of it?
I have one more though.
Sure.
Sorry. Where the parent resource wing is going to be going, I know all along we've been hearing of where their permanent replacement spot will be. Where exactly is the classroom that is there going to go?
Which classroom are we talking about?
Right now there's a reading room that's on that wing.
You're talking about the reading room right here.
No.
Or
On the
next
other
to it.
side of the special ed office, in between the special ed and the nurse's office, there's a current title room.
This room right here? which is currently the faculty room,
No, no, 2 doors down. Yeah.
right in here.
Yes.
One down from the nurse. One down from the nurse.
Left side. The left side, if you're looking at the
There's a
nurse,
reading room right there.
It's on the left of the nurse,
the left of the nurse, if you're looking at the nurse's office.
Lisa?
That's an internal issue, and that has a different side.
Okay. Wish I had better answer.
Is the faculty room where it is right now staying there?
Yeah.
And the classroom that's used right now for gen ed classes, that is being relocated somewhere else?
The classroom that's there right now. What, Lisa, where currently does that gen ed classroom happen? You wouldn't mind coming up? See what you did? Yeah.
We can move on.
No, currently the GED classroom is where the nurse's office will be. And I believe the GED classroom may operate possibly out of an area in the district office, the conference room. I guess I don't have the answer for the GED.
No, you're right, it's internal discussion. We haven't named every single space yet.
Okay.
Everything's accounted for.
Is the art room removed from the basement?
That's another good one for Lisa. I've heard some scuttlebutt about this. The art room in the basement?
Is that going to be moving around the basement? Well, and that's partly, that again is some internal discussion that there was one classroom that is being vacated, and it currently is a fixed grade classroom. And Samsted's classroom on the other side is where we will be located over here in the principal's office. And what we'd like to do, and that's why it's kind of internal discussion, that either possibly the reading classroom that is currently going to be renovated on an office space to go there, or we could actually move the art out of the basement, which I would learn to do, and relocate it so that all of our classrooms, special area classrooms, are on the main level. And the only thing in the basement would be our science. So that's kind of why that issue and that question that Sarah posed earlier in regards to is the reading room going to be, somebody's going to have to be relocated or downsized, and probably the reading classroom versus downsizing the art room downstairs.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? You got one.
No, I'm good. I'm good at the moment.
Okay.
Anything else from the board? Okay.
So with that, we'll talk a little bit about where we are with the schedule and where we're going next. You can see all the completed items. We just finished up our design development in late September, and we moved right into construction document phase, which is what we're doing right now. And our office staff is currently working on putting together the documents, the actual drawings and specification books that we'll be submitting to State Ed right before Christmas. And then it will be there depending on how their backlog works. We're anticipating 3 to 4 months, so March 2011, they should be wrapping up their review. As soon as we send it up there, what we do is we request a face-to-face interview to expedite the process. So we'll go down and actually sit with our project managers at SED to walk them through exactly what we're doing in the hopes to expedite our process. We do that with the architects, and we also do that with the engineers. So that'll be happening between that time period. And the anticipated the project will be on the street or bidding in April of 2011. We're talking about awarding contracts, in other words, getting our bids back, qualifying the bidders, making sure people who say they can do the work can do the work, and then we award a contract with the Board of Ed in May of 2011. And then as soon as school lets out, probably we're going to be doing some things behind the scenes before school lets out. Submittals, we're going to be getting product data, we're going to be qualifying contractors, getting subcontractors in line to start construction in late June, early July of 2011. And then get you back in your spaces by September 2012. And then we'll have substantial completion for all spaces by December of 2012.
Before we talked about having pre-bid meetings, but I'm curious about who will be able to bid. You know, I can't speak for the capacity of local contractors to do the work, but being in an already economically depressed area, I think any opportunity to give our own people the work should be taken into consideration.
Along with that, my feeling is, some other people that talk with, that it should be a mandatory pre-bid meeting.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah, we do that on every project we do. We have, I mean, it's just good practice and it just makes sense. It's very difficult for a contractor to really have a clean and understanding of the project without actually having seen the building. We run into problems with that. It's not, I want to say, the state education department doesn't mandate that we do a pre-bid, doesn't mandate, we can't force contractors to show up, but from our experience, I want to, maybe 90% of the time, the contractors who show up, the pre-bid, and walk the buildings and understand the project better, typically come in on the low end of it, because they really have a better idea.
Along with that is, if they don't attend that meeting, they don't bid.
I don't think we can't,
I don't think you do
Like,
that.
unfortunately, I've been dragged to the courtroom on that one, and as much as I'd like to say the word mandatory, as soon as the lawyers get involved, it's no longer mandatory. Under General Municipal Law, Section 103, of the interstate bidding laws. We certainly encourage and open it up to anybody who's qualified to bid. More the merrier,
Okay.
number one. And we promote it as much as we possibly can promote it. We work with the district, keep our ears to the ground. If there's people we want to reach out and contact and let know, we certainly invite them into the process. We scrutinize in a heavy post-bid pre-award interview process. What we can do, if we find somebody unqualified or somebody who did not attend the pre-bid and they have a ridiculously low bid number, is we will consult with the district, advise further consultations, get your attorney involved, and go down the road of dismissing somebody, bond, or it gets nasty and ugly at that point. The problem with that is, unless it's very, very evident this is going to cause us a problem, a hardship to the district, the contractor being referenced here his attorney would institute some Article 46 XYZ or something like that, and it puts a stop to your ability to award the other subsequent contracts. You lose the entire construction season because of it. Then you have to rebid the project later. In most economic times, that means more money later on.
Yeah.
So there's some hard decisions to make at that point. We will certainly work through that with you based on our experience and advise appropriately. I'm anticipating nothing like that.
It's real.
Can you speak
Well,
up? I can't hear you. Didn't hear the
No,
question.
well, the question that Dan had is that, why don't we just seek legal counsel before we get Jackie's input where we need to go with that? I guess my personal opinion, I see a lot of multi-million-dollar contractual bids happen at the tourism district. I'll tell you, when you don't have people come in and walk the site, I don't think they're providing you a good service. Because you know what? They are there not only to save us money, but for quality of workmanship as well. And I don't want to build something today that we got to fight with for the next 5 years down the road. So the quality of workmanship is very, very important. But some contractors, they have a gut feel on what they think they can come in and bid at. But even in the private sector, when we have a bid that goes so low that it just raises the question like, how in the heck can they do that and still give you a quality product? We have a professional sit down with them to say, look, if you're going to go that low, what are your guarantees? Because now the scope of the project has just changed. So we want some guarantees that if you're going to bid that low, that things are put in place that we're not going to have problems down the road. And that's something that you have to, in my personal opinion, just wait and see where it goes, like you said.
Yeah, I have got to the point of having that kind of conversation before the owners select to go ahead, roll the dice based on the legal parameters in which to operate. And we very much front and center at that point talk with council and talk about the context of the labor performance payment bonds that are at stake.
Yeah.
Invite their bonding underwriter into the conversation and say, do you realize what's at stake here? If there's that large of a red flag, we will exercise all diligence through that process for you.
Thank you. Good question.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I know that construction is going to start in late June. When the kids come back to school in September, are there going to be crews in school still? Obviously it's not going to end over the summer.
Any of the student occupied spaces that are going to have students in them during the start of school year will not have workers during those periods of time. We take great pains, and Scott can talk about it a little more, to separate where workers are and where students are. You're going to have people around the building site,
that are going to be working when school's going on. They're all ID, they're all fingerprinted, they all have tags, they all have, a lot of times we just make them wear hard hats.
Okay.
So you can instantly identify someone who's a contractor, but they all wear identification badges and.
Well, it was the fingerprinting that I wanted to make sure that was going to be done, if they're going to be, in the perimeter of the school, even around, around where the kids are going to be.
It's mandatory in most cases, the unions do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have access to that information, we are mandated that they provide it to us.
Thank you.
A large part of Mr. Thatcher's time is shooting people out of spaces they're not supposed to be in. Because inevitably, when something doesn't get completed during the summer months, they have to come in on a second shift basis to finish it through the fall until they're done. Somebody's trying to see how early they can get in a building, dismissal, half day today, kind of thing. We'll navigate through that. But make no mistake that the commissioner's regulation 155.5, which is the regulatory statute for construction projects in schools, is upheld by our monitoring, which means separation of spaces at all times. Now, that doesn't mean to say if one morning in October, Jim says, Tom, got no power in this classroom. Okay, let's go get an electrician and bring him in here, escort him in the building, find out what the problem is, take care of it. But people wandering aimlessly, zero tolerance. There's no reason for it. And I'm sure there will have to be an example made of it.
aimlessly.
Who said that?
I'll be the only one wandering.
Great.
But I'll always have a tag.
I should qualify that by saying no less than Tom for mine.
You guys are going to become very familiar with it. Oh, sorry, went away. Okay, so next steps. We're continuing our construction document phase. We're going to be completing our estimates and we'll make a report when those estimates are available. We're going to be submitting to SED in December, like we mentioned before. We're beginning our face-to-face review with the State Education Department to expedite the process. We'll be ready to go to bid in April 2011.
Sooner if available.
And sooner if available. There are a lot of hungry contractors out there right now, so the sooner you can do this, the better off you're going to be.
Do you foresee any issues with the state education department?
Well, we can never really foresee those.
Well, I was just
No,
gonna
we
say,
can
as
never.
staffed as they are, they're
Not
done.
We've developed over a lot of years very good relationships with the people at State Ed. We've already met with them several times. We know who our project reviewers are going to be. If we have issues or questions as we go forth with the project and start working on the construction documents, we make a quick phone call to Tony Frandino or Tom Robert at SED and say, hey, what do you think about this? And we'll even, sometimes we'll sit down with them and just walk through issues. So typically, the face-to-face review works in everybody's favor. They're on the same page as us. They know what to expect in our documents, and there's no surprise. Thank you. I'm not going to say. There's always the possibility of things, and they may have questions and have additional questions on certain items. But we've become pretty good at streamlining the process. Thank you. No problem.
Can I ask one more? I think everybody here remembers a few years back the big asbestos problem they had in Peru when they went to construction. Well, that didn't prevent the same thing happening at Northeastern about 5 years ago. All the bids were out, nobody asked a question about asbestos. All of a sudden, we're at the stage to start building, to get in there, and millions of dollars have to be spent, diverted from the intended project to asbestos abatement. Has asbestos been addressed here? Because I'm not a member of this district, but...
As well as other hazmat materials.
We've done, as a part of the consulting that we do in advance of this project, we hire, right now we've hired Clough Harbor Associates, CHA. They've been in the buildings ad nauseum, in this building and also in the high school, climbing in crawl spaces and in the basements and above ceilings, sampling material. They took somewhere in the neighborhood of 380 samples from different materials throughout the buildings at all different locations, in work areas where we're doing work and areas where we aren't potentially doing work, to make sure that if anything gets disturbed, we know what it is, we know how to address it. Furthermore, they're also the ones who are doing our design, so they actually were in the buildings and they saw it with their own eyes, so that when they can translate that to the drawings when they have to do the abatement project. In addition to that, what we also do is we include those reports that they provide us from an independent testing agency Those go right into the specification book under a section called Reports of Exploration. And what that does is it allows the contractor to have that information right in front of them. So that if they're in an area where they're not sure if they're going to disturb something, they can have that reference. Or more importantly, they can talk to Tom, they can talk to me, they can talk to Scott, and say, I don't know about this, let's go back to the report. That's in their hands to start the project that they've bid on. They've committed to a price to provide the services based on that document. So they're liable to maintain and adhere to the asbestos
That
regulations.
was one of the major first questions that was asked when this process started, because you look at the date of the schools when they were built.
Yep.
You know, and asbestos was alive and well back then. You know, so we made it very clear that, we got to make sure we're doing the right things so we don't have any issues with abatement.
We have those, I'll tell you right now. we
Wasn't
have
asked 5 years ago at Northeastern, and they ran into all kinds of problems because of it.
We have those, we've identified the areas that have been tested, we've got our reports back, we know what areas have potential for asbestos. We're either avoiding those areas or we'll be remediating those areas per the letter of the law.
If they're in the path of construction. I just want to clarify that, just to make sure nobody's misled. The fact that our charge under the project is not to completely scrub the building of all contaminants, but anything in the path of construction, typically your renovation areas, we are definitely accounting for.
He raised it, now I have a question.
Sure. It's okay.
He raised it. I know that when they did the floor in the wing in the past, there are asbestos tiles under the carpeting.
Yep.
How is, when you're doing the construction, you said those rooms are all being taken down? Are you removing that? Are you
Yes.
covering it so that's being
Yeah,
removed?
we're gonna be in those rooms enough that we can't leave it. We're gonna be taking, now the walls will be staying, but we'll be removing the flooring down to the original concrete substrate. Probably, and that will entail asbestos abatement, so all that, anything that's underneath there, quite honestly, we've tested a large portion of those rooms on the floors in those areas. We know some areas that do have it, we know some areas that definitely don't have it. That whole area will be treated as an abatement project. We'll tent the areas, and then we do air monitoring during that process, and we do a full clean of those areas, and then we do air monitoring to test to make sure that there's no particulate matter in there. But there's very, very strict regulations on how that occurs, and the cleanup process associated with that afterwards.
You know, we can't even dictate how that's done. It's a highly regulated industry, governed by the Department of Labor.
Which have their own inspectors.
Yes. We love it for them to show up. Because it makes sure, it's checks and balances.
Yeah.
We will, to go on with the same vein, we will help the district secure an independent third-party monitoring agent through an RFP process.
Right.
Therefore, in case you were wondering, the contractor's not monitoring his own work. Okay, there's somebody else watching that to make sure all the protocols are followed, and that nothing containment-wise is removed until the final clearance is given from the final sampling.
Well, you forget about something as well. There are different types of asbestos. You have friable and non-friable materials. Floor tiles, for instance, which are VAT, vinyl asbestos tile, are non-friable until they're chipped up. So there's no safety hazards as they exist right now. When we remove them, we get rid of all the, that's why we do it in tenting, we have to clean, and all those, the contractor has to do it. And then we have to monitor the air to make sure it is clean. So, but as it stands right now, there are no safety hazards. Okay.
I'm just picturing you in a wetsuit right now.
I like season
I
time.
think it has enough cooling carpet on it over however many years it's not going.
Well, I don't know if you ever tried to get a vinyl asbestos tile off of the floor. It's not fun. It's a mess. So.
It was good stuff.
It worked great.
It stayed where it was
stayed
supposed
down.
to be.
Yeah, exactly.
There are still materials manufactured today that contain trace elements of asbestos in the base paint.
Yes,
It's good stuff, but it's highly industrialized. Not the kind of stuff we use in schools at all. Ever.
Ever.
To that point.
Great.
This has been great dialogue, folks.
Appreciate you coming out.
The interest and the feedback is helpful for us. Helps us get to know each other as well.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Here
We approach everything very much as a team approach. In every team, you have all kinds of buy-in from stakeholders. So we love this kind of open dialogue. So please never feel resistant to come forward with any questions or comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The only comment that I'll have, as some of you may know, I came up in the Ticonderoga area back in 1982. And back when I was living in that area, not personally, but I had dealings with Tom Thatcher. And I had no problems with him being here. So.
Oh.
I was glad to see that he was going to be on this.
Did he say big problems or no problems?
What did my father, there was no problem. Thank you.
Throw in, looks like it's going to go over to the Sandstoners. Here's Bartenstein, he's battling for it. It's going to come back this way, and Armstrong is there. He's still got it. Tries to push it up for Miller, and it goes out of bounds. It's going to be a Cougar throw-in. We got subs. There's a shot by Dustin or Bo Ledoux. And again, once again, that ball squirted loose with the Sandstoners pressuring and not having a whole lot of players back on defense. Ball comes loose in the area, and Bo Leduc is there to send it past the outstretched hands of Sebastian Grimberg. So with 3:20 to remaining in the contest, the Cougars come up with another goal to go up by a 3-0 margin. And I don't know, I don't like to say it's over, but boy, I'll tell you, with a 3-goal lead. With a 3-goal lead with 3:20 to go in the game, looks like it's a pretty decent, pretty comfortable lead at this point.
I will allow you to say in the game instead of in the half.
All right, so at this point, you'll allow me to say that there's only 3 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. So at the 36:40 mark of the second half, it's the Cougars go up by a 3-goal lead. Bo Leduc, number 22, gets credited with the goal. It's an unassisted goal on a kind of a giveaway by the Sandstoners in their own zone, and Leduc was there to pick up that loose ball. Here's a opportunity for the Sandstoners, and they send the ball in, but goes over the head of Bedard, but Rabidou is there to pick it up. So 2.5 to go in the game here, with the Cougars up by a comfortable margin of 3-0. That ball bounces at midfield and gets sent over. Here's Davison with it. He's not ready to quit just yet. He's going to send one up for Leduc, the goal scorer. He's going to free Carter. Carter's going to chase that one down. He's going to beat DeTulio over in the corner. Still has it. Sends a cross out to the top of the 6. Smith whiffed on it, but it went behind Leduc, who was really not able to catch up with it.
You should point out, Joe, that last time we saw Davison, he was missing 2 teeth, but he had them put in that same night after the game.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Went to a dentist and
had him taken care of?
Yep.
Again, here's Leduc. Finds himself loose, gets a shot off, but Grimberg is going to scoop that one up. We're under a minute and a half to play here, and the Cougar faithful are starting to feel that this might be a trip to the Final Four. And I don't know, you might remember, or if we ever did get past any of these regional games, but certainly in my memory of watching Cougar soccer in the last 10 years, I can't remember getting past a regional semifinal game, let alone winning a regional final. Here's Pupor.
I can't recall it. The girls have done it a couple of times, but I honestly cannot remember the boys ever getting that far.
Right, so we may be looking at history in the making here as the Cougars will advance to the Final Four here if nothing bad happens in the next 40 seconds. Once again, the Cougars will advance to the Final Four to represent the Capital Region in the New York State tournament. Details of which I don't have, so I don't know when and where, but as we click down the last 15 seconds, it looks like this one is going to go in the books as a 3-1 victory for the Cougars, so representing Section 7 in the Final Four. And the horn blows, so it's official after 80 minutes of play here at the Plattsburgh High School Athletic Complex. It's the Cougars of Northeastern Clinton representing Section 7-3, and the Sandstoners of Potsdam representing Section 10-0. That's the way it was. We thank you for watching Hometown Cable Television, worth your support.
So the Cougar fans, unlike the Shazy fans who make their hotel reservations months in advance for the Final Four, the Cougar fans will now have to scurry and get the details and find out all the best places to stay, because they will be going to the Final Four for, if not the first time for the boys, there have not been very many trips. And congratulations to Jerry Davison and his coaching staff. And we're going to stick around. There will be a trophy presentation. A little hardware will be available for viewing at the Northeastern Clinton trophy case. Looks like Tim Mulligan's going to have the honor of representing Section 7 and the region. Because it's beyond Section 7 now. This is Capital District Region. He's presenting the, he's shaking. And as soon as Kevin Mulligan announces it.
Presenting the Regional Final Class B Championship Trophy to Northeastern Clinton Cougars.
All right. There it is.
Northeastern will be going down to the Final Four in Middletown, New York.
On to Middletown. So that's it. You were watching viewer-supported local television. As Joe Southwick said, it's TV worth your support. And if you're not supporting this programming, we'd like to find out why not. Our only support is when somebody like you steps up and sends in a contribution. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Joe Southwick for taking us through the game. To 13. This is King.
Whoa, Maddie. Whoa, Maddie.
Dupree with the kill. She'll serve 21-14. 22-14. This late in the game, 8 points is a big lead. Once again, I cannot recall the Cougars ever beating the Bobcats in volleyball. They lead 23-14 in the deciding game.